Hey guys, welcome to the Clayfoot Farm Show. We're not really a farm yet, more of a homestead, but we're working our way up there. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show on soil blocks. So what the heck is a soil block? And why would you want a soil block? Well, it's a block of soil and it's great for starting seeds. But what keeps it together? What keeps it from not being a soil lump? And why is it good for starting seeds? And why not use one of those plastic trays or just throw your seeds out in the garden? Because of air pruning, or so I've heard it called. And basically what air pruning is when the roots hit the edge of the soil block and go into the air and not against plastic, they stop. And when you take the blocks outside and stick them in the ground, those roots are just barely outside the soil and they're ready to go straight into the ground. In other words, those roots are standing by ready to shoot into the ground instead of being placed in the ground in a tangled mass. I'm not trying to knock too hard on the plastic trays. They still work. They work great, but they might not work as good as soil blocks. That's all I'm saying. So from what I've said so far, even if you have never heard of soil blocks before, what do you think is the most important aspect to this? Yep, you're right. It's the ingredients. I was able to find most of the ingredients at the local farm store, but the one thing I did have to order off of Amazon, actually two things, was green sand. The other thing was the worm castings, which was just something that you don't have to have. I just wanted to order it, throw it in there. So in this video, you're basically gonna see me throwing out the ingredients on the ground. I tried to time it up with the audio, but it was too difficult. So, watch the video. You can see what everything looks like. I will go through each ingredient and kind of explain to you what it does and how much you'll need. There will be a recipe at the end of the video, so don't feel like you need to write anything down. There will also be a link to the Johnny Seed recipe where I found this in the comments below the video. First on the list, 1 bucket of organic potting soil. And by the way, if you hear the couch squeaking, I apologize. I need a new couch. But potting soil, I actually bought the Miracle-Gro brand of organic potting soil. And yes, it's made by Monsanto, and yes, Monsanto is the devil. The couch squeaked again. I don't want to rant about Monsanto, but if you don't know who they are, you should, and you should look them up and figure out why they are the devil. The reason I can justify buying a product from Monsanto is because it's one of their organic products, and maybe that will encourage them to do better things in the future. I also didn't have very many choices. And if I had really good soil in my yard, I would have preferred to use that, but I don't. It's mostly clay, hence the name Clayfoot Farm. Second on the list, this is the big daddy, peat moss. You're gonna need 3 buckets. Peat moss adds the glue to your soil block. It is what holds everything together, and it holds that moisture into your block. Again, peat moss is bad. Peat moss itself isn't bad, but mining it, taking it from the environment, where it should probably stay, is bad. But you're not using a lot of it. 1 bag of peat moss will make thousands of soil block. The third ingredient is lime, and you want to get the powdered lime, not the pelleted lime, sorry, and add it to your peat. Now this is one thing I forgot to add in the video, so just remember to add lime. You're gonna need a half a cup of lime to 3 buckets of peat moss. Ingredient number 4, and I'll make this an A and B ingredient because I used mushroom compost and composted manure. Now I have heard some people saying that you're not supposed to put composted manure in your soil blocks, but I have, and it's worked for me just fine. And your compost is adding lots of nutrients, it's adding life to your soil blocks. It also helps, like peat, to keep the blocks together. You can use your own compost if you have some. I have some going right now, but it's not quite mature enough to use in the soil block mix. So if you have that, that is even better than what you can buy at the store. Ingredient number 5 is perlite. You can also use vermiculite or coarse sand. This is going to aid in the drainage of your soil blocks, which kind of sounds contradicting if you want it to hold water and drain. But this part of soil, you want it to have multiple properties. You don't want it to hold water forever, and you don't want it to drain straight through. So you kind of want a mix of that. And perlite or coarse sand or vermiculite will do that. I use perlite, but one thing I did not realize is that it does have some sort of inorganic fertilizer in it. So my soil block mix is now not organic, and I won't do that again, but I already bought it, so I'm going to use it anyway. And I'm not sure if they make a perlite without inorganic fertilizer infused within it, so it's something to look into. Ingredient number 6, which is totally optional, it is dry molasses. I throw it in there. The sugar feeds the little microorganisms that will increase the breakdown of essential nutrients for your plants. It also adds some potassium, which is left out of the organic fertilizer mix. So it's just something you can throw in there. You don't have to do it. I did because I had it. Alright, number 7, which is actually made up of 3 things. It is your dry organic fertilizer. And it is made up of blood meal, which adds nitrogen, bone meal, which adds your phosphorus, and green sand, which adds your trace elements. Your local home goods store should have the blood meal and the bone meal, but the green sand was difficult for me to find. I had to order it off of Amazon. And even though you have to order it, I definitely recommend getting the green sand. It is excellent stuff. I could do a whole video just talking about green sand, so get it and use it. Your plants will love it, I promise. I think we're on 8 now. Yeah, 8 is another optional one. Worm castings, great stuff. It adds some more potassium, which I said is left out of the dry organic fertilizer mix. Oh crap, I forgot to add how much of each ingredient that you need as I was going through, but that's okay, I'll give it to you right now. Hey guys, just a side note, I'm talking about 5-gallon buckets. Alright, the first one was organic potting soil. You're going to need 1 bucket. The second was peat moss. You need 3 buckets. You need a ½ cup of lime, 2 buckets of compost, 2 buckets of perlite, vermiculite, or coarse sand. Optional, a handful of dry molasses. You need 3 cups of your base fertilizer, which was the blood meal, bone meal, green sand. And then optional again, a handful of worm castings. And that's it. Now I didn't want to make a full batch, so what I did is cut everything in half. I'm not going to go through all that because you can do it on your own, but let me tell you, you could probably make about 1,000 soil blocks just with the full recipe. So think about that before you start making the full thing, how many you want to actually make. Hopefully from this short video you learned a little bit about what a soil block is and why it's a little bit better than just using those plastic trays. And maybe you got a little glimpse into organic growing if you've never tried it before. It's really not that hard. It sounds like a lot, but once you get a few things, it's really not that bad. I definitely recommend trying it out. It can't hurt, right? In the next video, I'll talk about the tools that you need to make the soil blocks and how to make them. I'll also touch on a few more things, germination, temperature, and lighting, but those we might save for a separate video. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Also, if you liked what you saw, hit that little thumbs up button down below the video to tell me that you want to see more things like this. And if you didn't like the video, well, I don't like you. I'm just kidding. If you really didn't like the video, let me know and I'll try to make an improvement in the future. Stay tuned for more videos.